You ever see a legal case name and just think, nope, it looks like a secret code, right? It's long, it's packed with jargon, and it just feels impossible to understand. Well, today we're going to crack one of those codes together, and we're going to start with the full, intimidating thing itself. Okay, here it is. I know at first glance that is just a wall of text, but trust me, hidden inside that single line is a whole story about a massive legal battle between privacy advocates and the government. It tells us who was fighting, where they fought, and it even gives us a clue about what they were fighting over.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally natural to look at that and feel completely lost. But I promise you, by the end of this, every single part of that title is going to make perfect sense. We're going to break it down piece by piece, starting with the most important part of any story, the characters.
All right, first up, let's look at the players. In any case name, you're going to see two sides separated by a little V. That V just stands for versus, and it basically signals the main conflict. So who are the two sides in this big showdown? Well, on one side, you've got Privacy International. They're the challengers here, a global group that fights to protect our right to privacy from, government and corporate snooping. And on the other side, the Secretary of State. Now, in this context, that's really just shorthand for the UK government and its very powerful security and intelligence agencies. So what we have here is a classic showdown, privacy versus state security. You might have also spotted the phrase "and others" hanging around. That's just a simple bit of legal shorthand. It means Privacy International wasn't fighting alone. They had other organizations backing them up. And same for the government side. It involved more than just one department. It just tells you this was a pretty big, significant fight. Okay, so we know who was fighting. The next part of the code tells us where this all went down, and this was no local dispute, believe me. This took place in a very, very important arena. The case was heard in the Court of Appeal, and that little detail tells us this was a high-stakes game. See, the Court of Appeal is a senior court that looks over decisions made by lower courts. For a case to even get to this level, it has to be serious, and its outcome could potentially change the law for everybody. It helps to think of the court system as kind of like a ladder. A big case will often start in the high court. If one side doesn't like the results, they can appeal, which pushes the case up to the next rung, the Court of Appeal. It's the second highest court in the UK, just one step below the Supreme Court. So yeah, this was a big deal. All right, now for the part that looks like pure computer code. 2021 EWCA Civ 330. It's actually just a fancy filing system. So 2021, that's just the year the decision was published. EWCA tells us exactly which court, the England and Wales Court of Appeal. Civ means it's from the civil division, not the criminal one. And 330, that's just its ID number. It was the 330th case reported by that court that year. See, not so scary once you know what you're looking at. So we've cracked the who, the where, and the when. But the what this whole thing was actually about, that's hidden in the case's unofficial nickname. And this is where it gets really interesting. You see, while the official title is super long and formal, all the legal experts and journalists gave it a much catchier and, frankly, more mysterious name that points right to the heart of the whole conflict. The third direction case. I mean, doesn't that sound like something straight out of a spy novel? Now, this part isn't in the formal citation, but it is the absolute key to understanding the entire dispute. So what in the world is a direction? Well, in this legal world, a direction is a formal and often secret order from a government minister telling a public body, like an intelligence agency, how to do its job. The fact that this case is all about the third direction implies, right, that there was a first and a second, uncovering this hidden system of rules that governs secret state powers. Okay, so let's put all of that together. We've cracked every single piece of the code. Now we can actually see the full picture and really get why this legal battle was so incredibly important. So what started as that confusing line of text is now a really clear story. A group of privacy advocates took the UK government to one of the country's highest courts back in 2021. And why? To challenge a secret government instruction, the third direction, that tells intelligence agencies how they can use their powers. This was a massive fight over government transparency and the limits of state surveillance. When you boil it all down, this case isn't just about legal code. It's about the code of our democracy. It forces every single one of us to ask a really tough question. How much power should a government be allowed to have in secret? The answer to that question defines the line between security and surveillance, between a state that protects its citizens and one that watches them. And that is a code we all have a stake in cracking.